Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. In today's video, I'll be showing you my October 2021 completed coloring book pages, and if that is of interest to you, please stay tuned. Okay, so just be warned, based on the number of books that are turned on their side, this is going to be a very long video. So get comfortable, get a good drink or a snack, or maybe put me on the background while you're coloring, or turn on the settings where you can put me on 2x speed and it'll just go a little bit faster. But yeah, let's just get stuck in. And the first picture I want to show you is from Worlds of Wonder by Joanna Basford. I did this picture with Pixie, or along with Pixie, so that's Pixie's project. Any of the channels I mentioned, I will link below. And she had done the free printable from Joanna Basford from her Flourish coloring book that came out in 2020, and I couldn't find it at first. I have since found it, and so some of the pictures that Pixie was doing, I found in here. Now, it is not exactly a dupe because there are pictures that she colored that it isn't here. And then of course there's, I think her page had 12 pictures and this one has 16, but that was fine. I just decided that I would follow along as much as I could, but also I would put my own spin on it. And I really had a limited color palette. I just wanted to do oranges, greens, purple, and black. And I think it looks really good. Now, my only one regret with this is I had done the background of these two here. No, these two here with Distress ink because I used a circle stencil that I have. This belonged to my sister, and then I just put it over. I had drawn circles because I actually was going to do this for a different project, and then I just used this while I was using the Distress blender or the ink blender, and I liked those two. And then I realized, you know what, I don't necessarily want to do that for the entire page, but I thought it would look funny if I didn't. So I tried to make it so that colors were not butting up against each other. I did not have a black Distress ink. I do have a black ink, but it's permanent. So I actually stained the thing that I put it on, which is fine, but I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And so some of these, like this one is supposed to be black, and this one, and this one, it definitely pulls darker, but it doesn't pull like a true black. I think even a gray would have been better. But overall, I really love the look of this. And then in her last video, because she did over 13 days, she did this sort of spoopy, that's the name she came up with, a goth type of thing, where she did a base layer in a very, well, it was black, but it very lightly, and then it just kind of, not muddied, but it just made the colors, even though the pencils were intense, just darker. And I love the look of that. Evers of Evers Color Corner, she's doing The Secret Garden from Joanna Basford all in a gothic way, and I think she's going to be doing a lot of that. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to do the same just because I think that look is just so interesting. But yeah, this is what I've done. Now, the first few nights I was on target, and then I was trying to finish another page I'll talk about in a little bit, and so I finished the majority of this over the weekend. So the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. I'm actually filming Sunday afternoon, the 31st, but because of the time difference, her video came up yesterday, so I was able to color along and finish this. But I thought that was a great kind of countdown thing, and I enjoyed the page and I enjoyed the color. I think my two favorite are the fish here. That's the very first one she did, and this little ghosty here. And because I colored underneath it and then I put the white gel pen over it, he's a little pink, but that's fine. He's just a He's a pinky ghost. But yeah, that's the picture that I completed from here. Joanna Basford's Worlds of Wonder. The next page I completed from Opal's Moments Wholly for Yourself. This was a buddy color with my girl Poet. This goes for her tag Comfy Cozy 2021. I know she's extending it through November, and it's really just any picture that's comfy and cozy to you. And then I looked at her and I thought she was celebrating fall, so it does go also for my tag, Joanna Lynn's Celebration. So it's any Joanna Basford, Hannah Lynn, Hannah Crozon, or any celebratory picture, and that interpretation is up to you. She was really actually quick to do. She was done in Rogetin, Papermate Flare. What does that say? Oh, both fine and medium pens, distress ink, and then I did washi tape for the book. And I thought she was really pretty, and I like to do an opal page in one of my books every single month. So that is Opal's Moments Wholly for Yourself. The next page I did in here is Tales of the Forest Kingdom by Hannah Crozon. And I have to say, I didn't like this page at first. The background is done in Gansai Tambi, and I didn't coat the paper with anything. And I don't know if that was part of the problem, because it just came out super splotchy. And then I colored her. First, her hair was white like The Witcher, but then it didn't pop enough, and so I just kept fussing with it. And all I had originally was just her, and I just like, oh, I hate this so much. This was done for one of Olga Rani's challenges. It was fairy, and so I'm like, well, I'm going to submit it. And then I decided to do this sort of plaid action back here in some of the same colors. This is done in water-based tombos, and then there's also Gansai Tambi, Castle Art, Prisma, Wink of Stella. There's some glitter gel pen, and then the Tombow water. And then with this, I mean, even though it's quite different, I loved the look of this. And then this is just a Happy Planner sticker that I found. And I think it's really interesting now. It still is really splotchy, but I like the dichotomy or the play on, this is very linear to me. It's very, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's definitely very pristine, and she isn't. And I like that play on each other. So that was the picture that I did out of Hannah Crozon's Tales from the Forest Kingdom, I believe this is called. I have several that I completed in this one. This is The Rabbit Girl. I didn't write down the author's name, but this I picked up from Amazon. And so this was actually a buddy color with both Sarah of Chronic Coloring Down Under as well as Poet. I did mine in a ghosty way, and I added a few more flowers. I added these tombstones, and then I did her all in grays and then outlined her in a white uniball. And then for her face, I actually added on some Tombow gray mild liner on top of it just so that the features would come up. And I think this looks really pretty. Definitely check out their completed pages videos. As of the filming of this, I didn't see that either of them have posted one, but you can definitely see it on their Instagram pages, and I'll link their YouTube channels below. This was done in Distress Ink, Tombow alcohol markers, Ohuhu Prismas, Pigma Micron, Tombow mild liner, and I used the Prisma blender pencil. And I like how she came out. She's really pretty to me. This was another buddy color with Poet, and this one I did towards Corey's C is for October. I like to do one alcohol marker page, which I'll show you, and then one pencil page. And when I do a pencil page, it's all pencils that start with the letter. The color starts with the letter, and I only give myself 5 pencils to use, and I love the challenge of that. And so for this one, I used all Prismas. Prismas 914, 1081, 118, 1103, and 1020. And I really liked how this came out. It's pretty to me. I love the challenge aspect of it. And it does require that I do a lot more layering, a lot more blending just to bring out different tones. But for me, it makes it fun because I'm only using 5 pencils. And so what can I do with that? But that was the second page done out of this book. And then the third page is probably the favorite of the 3 that I've done. And it's this girl right here. Now, when Poet and I set this up, and again, this is buddy color that I did with her, it was towards, when was this? Yeah, I don't know if we set this up at the latter part of September or the early part of October, but as I was thinking about this page, I thought I wanted it to be very bright, very cheerful, but I also wanted it to be a little spooky. And so I made the bunny's eyes a lot bigger. First, I put down some white jelly roll as a pupil, then I put some metallic on it, and it kind of ran, and that he looks terrified. I over-exaggerated both her eyes and her lips, and the colors are done very brightly. And then the last thing I did was flick some Gansai Tambi red as sort of like blood splatter on here. It actually got everywhere. But I love the look of this. I love how bright and cheerful it is, and it actually makes it a little bit more creepy because yeah, it's not a hug me page, it's a help me page. But this is one of my favorites. As you can see, I got some Gansai Tambi here. Again, it got everywhere. I don't know that this is a page that I'm actually going to color. Yeah, probably not. And then that way I can use alcohol markers on this side. I don't like mandali patterny type of paper, and that's exactly what that is to me. But I really liked this one. It definitely shows you that even if you don't have Halloween specific books, you certainly can make pictures Halloween just by your interpretation of your colors and the mediums that you use. But this is the Rabbit Girl, and I don't know the author's name. Okay, this is a new book to me. This is specifically because of Pixie of Pixies project. We do have 2 buddy colors in here for November, but the buddy color that we did late in October is this one here. This was done with Prisma, Amazon Basics, and Art glitter pens. This goes for comfy and cozy. A hot pot of tea is always very cozy to me. This also goes for my hashtag Joanna Lynn celebration, because everything can be part of a celebration. And the quote here is, an artist cannot do anything slovenly. And on here you can see, hopefully, that on some of the flowers I did add some glitter gel pen. And definitely go ahead and check out Pixies. I don't know if she's done her completed pages yet, but it also is on, I think it's on her Instagram. I'm not sure. I know we DM'd each other, so sometimes those things just kind of run in my mind as all one big thing. But yeah, this is Jane Austen's Wit and Wisdom to Color and Display. She said it best, and I did pick this up from Amazon. This is Camila de Arico's Pop Manga coloring book. I did complete 1 page here, and this was for Olga Ronnie's challenge, and I did do this with some watercolor because I had a hard time finding a crow or a raven page. I found this, and I knew if I did pencil work it would just take too long, and I really like how she looks, and I really liked using, well, did I use, no, this is Inktense, but I washed it out on a palette and then I put it on versus coloring in with the Inktense. And it was fun, it was fast, and I just liked playing with the medium. It does wrinkle up the page a little bit, but that actually does not bother me. So that was a picture out of Pop Manga coloring book by Camila de Arico. I did 1 page out of Heidi Hornsby's Tortured Tales, and it was this one right here. This one was also for Olga Ronnie's Find in Color for Fairy. If you haven't seen this coloring book, Heidi has taken her interpretation of various nursery rhymes and fairy tales and has put her own spin on it. And I really like this, and a lot of times it comes in clutch when I'm trying to do a finding color for Olga, because there's just so many different elements on her pages. But that's the page that I completed for this month. I did 3 pages out of here. All 3 of these were for Sarah of Chronic Coloring Down Under's Coloropoly. I specifically purchased this book because one of my prompts this month for Coloropoly was Jade Summer, and I didn't have a Jade Summer book, and so I was very intentional to pick up the greatest hits just because I should be able to find anything that Olga or Sarah have coming down the line, and then I chose my 3 prompts from here just so I could get some coloring done. So my first prompt was chibi. I chose this chibi animal. It's not my favorite. It's a lot of big coloring and I'm not a huge fan of that. But last month I also had chibi and I did a chibi girl, so I did want to do something different. And then I did this. My other prompt was travel, and I thought, well, why wouldn't I want to travel to a magical forest? Okay, well, that's not true. Why would I want to travel at all? But if I were going to travel, I wouldn't mind traveling to a magical forest. And I love the stencil work. A lot of the stencil work that I've been doing to me has really made the page complete. It's done in alcohol marker, Art 101, Sharpie, Tombow, Distress ink, Ohuhu, Amazon Basic, and some glitter gel pen. And again, this was for Sarah's prompt of travel. And then the third prompt was Jade Summer. So I could literally just pick anything out here. And this is actually one of my favorite pages of the month. So it is a lot of elements on the page. It looks very collaged. I was very intentional because I actually wanted to do a little bit more, but I did want to keep it flat and I didn't want to take away from being able to color this page. So this is just a stamp that I have that I picked up from Tim Holtz. This is a sticker as well as these elements here, but they're very thin and that works. I've got some stenciling done on the back there, and then the colors of the flowers were done very boldly so that when I put the black on top of it, it would make a nice contrast. And I actually really like how this looks. I'm not a huge fan of this coloring book, I'm not gonna lie. Some of it's very simplistic. There's a lot of big coloring going on. This holds no interest for me. It's weird because this cat is on a stakeout and he's using his hands for a gun, but he has a holster for a gun. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this dude, but whatever. But there are some pages that I do have some interest in. And again, between Olga and Sarah, I can't imagine that I won't be able to find something in here that will go towards any one of their prompts. But this is Jade Summer's Greatest Hits, 100 Best Coloring Pages. I did do a page out of here, Doodle Abentor and Land de Martian. It is a Julia Rivers coloring book. That is the publisher, but the artwork is done by Ronnie Pios. I did get inspired by this book by Miranda Coloring. That's the person that I had seen it done. And I had completed this page. And this was actually a twofer. This was a long-standing buddy color with my girl Poet, and then also for one of Olga's Finding Color prompts, it was fairy. I've shown quite a bit of that, and so I counted this little dude up here as the fairy. I tend to do a lot of bright pages in here. There's a lot of Wink of Stella, there's a lot of glitter gel pen, and I love this coloring book. I love how bright some of the pages are. It makes me happy. Now, it's a little time consuming because there are so many elements on the page, and yet I try to sporadically put the same color in different places just so that it doesn't look so disconnected, and that way I also don't have to have a ton of different pens or markers on my desk. But yeah, that's the one that I did. I think it looks really good. And this was done with Sharpie, Amazon Basics, Art 101, alcohol markers, and art glitter gel pens, Wink of Stella, and Distress ink. And that's out of Ronnie Pios's Doodle Abentor in Land de Martian. I did do one out of Coloring Heaven's annual 2019 collection. It's because of this picture that I actually recently picked up the Steampunk Hannah Lynn coloring book, and I did this one here. I think she looks so pretty. I did 2 different stencil work on the background, and then even though she pulls very much Tinkerbell to me, I didn't want to do her in Tinkerbell colors, and so I chose this palette. It's not a palette I normally would choose anyway. She was done in Ohuhu Art 101's and Art Glitter Gel Pens, Uniball White, and then this background is done with Distress ink, and I think she is gorgeous. Now, the one issue I have with Hannah Lynn is her eyes, because I'm thinking you're supposed to color the whole thing. I'm never going to do that. That just looks weird to me. So I actually give her a pupil and then the white of the eye. Yeah, because I don't think those two are the same things. But I think she's so pretty. I've yet to color in the steampunk coloring book, but I definitely plan to, because I had so much fun with this that I was looking to get another Hannah Lynn, because the only Hannah Lynns I have up until that point is the ones in these Coloring Heaven collection books. But yeah, that is the Coloring Heaven collection, annual 2019. I did a page in here, Coloring Heaven's collection, annual 2020. This was done for one of Olga Rani's her monthly prompt, which was either handsome men or handsome hunks or something like that. And so I chose this guy right here. This is from Sorcerers and Sorceresses Special by Noleke Shoemaker. And I think he looks good. He was a bit of a quick color. And then on this, whatever this is here, I did add in some gel pen. And I haven't done any of these pages by that artist, and so I was glad I was able to find one to use for Olga Rani's monthly prompt. On here, I used Ohuhu, Sharpie, Art 101, Glitter Gel Pen, Uniball White, Posca for that, and then some mild liner. The mild liner is the gray that you see. Once I put the Uniball and the Posca on it, it seemed to recede too much, so I just added some mild liner to bring it back up. But that's what I completed from Coloring Heaven's annual 2020. I did do a page out of here, Ladies of Leisure, and I did this one here. This was actually a new buddy color partner with me, and it's actually butter color. I should call it what it is. And this is with Deb E, and I'll link her Instagram page below. She does not have a YouTube channel, and so we chose to do this page here. You definitely should check out her Instagram page. She did this, and I don't know if it was intentional, but she did it in pinks and greens, and pinks and greens are my favorite color. And if I can, I'll insert some pictures, because then I went on her feed and I chose some pictures as an inspiration for a color palette, and this is what I came up with. And I love the Zan Von Zed coloring books. I have two. Once I've completed more, I do want to get the other 2 or 3. And the quote that I found, because it looked like it needed one, is, "A strong woman looks a challenge in the eye and gives it a wink." And that's by Gina Carey. And between this and Carla Magana books, I love these portraits, because I don't feel like I'm tied to any kind of realism, but also, I mean, it's the sky's the limit, and I love the look of these women. But yeah, that's the one that I completed from Ladies of Leisure with my new butter, Deb. So thank you, Deb, for agreeing to do that butter color with me. This is the other one that I own, Ladies of Leisure 4, also by Zan Von Zed. And this was another butter that we had done. And again, that was with me and Deb. And I chose another quote for this one. And so it says, "And the stars blinked as they watched her carefully, jealous of the way she shone." And that's by Atticus. And it definitely is a different color palette for me. You can see that there's our greens and pinks, but I don't use a lot of dark gray when I'm coloring women, at least not that I can think of. And then the pinks and greens are very just accessory based. It isn't really the focus of the page. And so when I did the background with a stencil, I wanted it to make it look light and airy, because she was so dark. And then I messed up on her eyes, and so I just colored it all out in black, and that's fine. This was done in Tombow alcohol marker, A&Art glitter gel pens, Ohuhu, Uniball White, Tombow water-based pens, Sarasa gel pens, and Distress ink. And yeah, I do like to write it on the spine, just because I'm not going to remember what I use. Now the other page in here I like and I don't. And that's this one here. This is the one that I did for Corey's C is for October. I like to use 3 alcohol markers for that challenge. And so I just use alcohol markers that begin with the letter C. I actually had quite a few options. I think there were 7 different colors that I had found, and I chose 3. It's sort of this dark maroony brick red, this brighter red, and then this sort of yellow color. And I did all of this and I was okay with it. She definitely pulls a lot more orange than I like, but that's fine. But then there were some shadows here on the picture, some grayscale, I should say. And so I colored that in with the lightest color I had. And it looks like less of she's just sitting outside on her windowsill looking at nature. And it's more of, yeah, all the bathrooms in the house were full. That's all I see now when I'm looking at this picture. And I'm like, I don't know how I can fix this. I don't even know if I should, but whatever. She's done 3 markers. We did it. And so this was done in Ohuhu's. It was YR240 cream, R28 Colocasia Tonimo, and Coral Red. And that's probably between the regular Ohuhus and maybe the skin tones. I have 3 different Ohuhu sets, so it could be from any one of those. But yeah, that was done for C is for October, and this was done with 3 alcohol markers. I actually completed one out of this. This is Katie Nutson's Revelio. This I did purchase from Etsy, and this was because my friend Andy had given me a birthday card from Etsy for my birthday, and I finished this picture here of Ron Weasley when they are in the Hogwarts Express. Now, originally I had started just doing pencil work, but again, it's a very large page, and also there's large elements, and then I moved to water-based markers. You can see it on his clothes here. I do believe it gave it some texture, but I did not like the look of it, so I eventually did some alcohol marker. It did ruin this page here, but I actually have a second copy of it, and so I will be intentional where I'll do all of the front pages in this book in alcohol markers, and then in the other one I'll do all of the other pages, and then once I'm done with all of those pages I'll just put it together, just because alcohol marker just works quickly. Like something like this I probably could get away with pencil work if I wanted to, but it's just there's so much big spaces. I don't want to do that much pencil work. Just my hands, my arm and my shoulder and my hand as of right now is killing me. So other than Olga Rani's challenge for this week, I actually don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of coloring for this first week of November. But I'm glad that I was able to color a page in this. This was for Olga Rani's Handsome Men. There's lots of glitter gel pen on here. I think my favorite elements though are the pumpkins there. And yeah, I think it looks really good. And I'm happy that I was able to finally color in this, because I have had this since July, early August. And so that is Revelio by Katie Nutson. And then I did finish a picture here. This was a buddy color with my girl Poet. This is Mouse Guard by David Peterson. I did pick this up from my friend Susie of Sudie's Cottage. I'll link her channel below. And I did this page. Now, Olga had a prompt recently of Caterpillar, and I was looking through. I had actually found this, and like, there is no way I'm doing a 2-page spread for a weekly prompt. And then Poet texted me, or no, she DM'd me, and she's like, we should do this page for Olga. And I'm like, ugh, I don't want to. But then I decided, yeah, okay, I can. And the reason I could is because I did this all in Sakura Koi watercolor paint. And it was, I think it took me 2 or 3 hours the Sunday of the prompt coming out. And I definitely need to work with watercolors more, but it was quick and I think it looks very effective. And I am impatient. I think that's the problem that I have with watercolors, is I just keep adding pigment and pigment and pigment, and I need to let it dry. I don't have one of those hand dryers or hair blowers, nor do I want one because of space constraints. But still, overall, I think it looks good. And I don't know if you can see it, but it is starting to tear. And so I'm going to definitely have to tape that up together. I did use a lot of water, and because it is a 2-page spread that goes into the spine, there's water that got in there, so that definitely is on me. But then it makes something like this seem much more approachable just because, well, yeah, I can just slap on some watercolor paint and call it a day. But that's the page I did out of this one, Mouse Guard, a coloring book by David Peterson. Okay, I did complete a page here. This was a group buddy color with Poet, Emma, Arico, and myself. And because Emma has so many completed pages in here, our assignment for the month was just choose any page we want, but we were going to do it in Halloween colors by way of orange, purple, green, and black. And so I chose this guy right here. This is actually done quite quick, or quite early in the month. And so he is definitely Team Predator. If you know, you know. And while I was coloring this, I was watching my girl Andy in Stardew Valley, and she was fighting some monsters in the mines. And so I also write that here, fight me bro, which also fits there. I love how the background looks. And then he, of course, had to be in purple and green because those were the colors. And I think he looks really good. And this was done with Sharpie Tombow alcohol markers and art glitter pens, Amazon Basics, and Prisma. And yeah, I think he looks really good. Not so much on this back part, but I think this front part really, really shines. And that is Reptiloids. Oh, and this is by Vassal Psycho. Guys, I finally got my Rita Berman Travels Through Europe, and I actually finished one page. I do have some butter colors set up with Poet, but I just did not have a chance to get to that. But I actually have set up also a new butter color with my girl T, and I'll link her channel below. And so I did stencil work on the back. That's going to be my go-to more often than not, just because it's quick and I can add some color. And then in the rest of this was done with Distress ink, Prismacolors, Tombow water-based markers, and glitter gel pens. You guys know with birds and bugs, I am more likely to do something like this where I just black it out because I just cannot be bothered. But because this little wreath action is done in black, I think it actually works. And so this was really fun to do, both Prismas and I hear the Castle Arts, or is it the, what are they called? The Black Widows are supposed to work really well on this page. I have not done a tester page in here yet, but yeah, this is the page that I completed and I'm very happy with it. And this is out of Rita Berman's new Travels Through Europe. I think that's what this is called. Christy and I of Crafting with Christy actually finished this book. And I'll actually start from the front. And so I did this page here. This was done with Sharpie and Jelly Roll metallic pens. I did, towards the latter part of this book, decide that I'm definitely going to capture a lot of white space, but also I'm not going to be constrained by the color palette. I just did what I wanted. And so that was the very last one that I did. And then this one here was done with Sharpie glitter gel pens, and again, I wasn't going to be constrained by the color palette that it came, and I used a lot of white space. And then this one, out of the entire book, I was not looking forward to because none of this was appealing to me. But as I was coloring, I don't know if you can see it, but can you see these guys? They're ready to eat this guy. Octopus is on the menu. I called this ceviche. And so I was very purposeful so that that's their teeth. And it so happens to be in the same color as this little octopus guy. So, I mean, that's why he looks so distressed. Not because, you know, that's how octopus eyes are, because he knows he's what's for dinner. And that made this fun for me. Once I saw those guys, I'm like, oh, okay, now, okay. Well, this is interesting now, because otherwise it wasn't. But this is now a completed book. It is the first completed book that I have. As I've mentioned before, mandalas, color by numbers are not really my thing, but I'm glad I was able to finish this. I do have I have another Kira Shishneva, The Woman's World, and so that'll probably be the next one I'll try to tackle, but I won't be purchasing any more of these just because I see them and I think they're pretty when other people do them. I just don't have that much enjoyment when I'm doing them. But that is Color by Colors, a stained glass mandala by Kira Shishneva. Kira Shishneva. Now this was supposed to be a butter color with my girl Deb, and I had started it and I told her if she had not started it, don't, because the artwork in this book is absolutely sensational. This is the Moonlit Veil by Steg Gerard, and so there's just so many beautiful pictures in here. However, the paper is weird. I'll show you one I have as a work in progress. It does not want to take pencils for whatever reason. It is patchy. The paper is it's thick, but it's both slick and it's both toothy. I could not get a good blend, and I was using both Tombos, Lumis. I tried a little bit of Prismas on here, and none of them would blend out. I don't necessarily mind seeing pencil work, but there wasn't a way that I could figure out, well, I guess you could use those solvents, but I don't have any of those to kind of smooth that out. And I didn't like it. And so for this one, I used Tombow water markers, Tombow alcohol markers, and some glitter gel pens and some Wink Stella. And even the markers, because there seems to be some tooth to the page with my Tombows, because it is a brush marker and the nib is so soft, I'm worried that I'm going to warp or mess up the nibs of those markers, and those aren't cheap. So yeah, I love the artwork. I just hate the paper. I would actually prefer CreateSpace paper. Now it's strange because this is her second book. It did come out, I think, a year or two after this one came out, and the paper is different. This one, I think, takes pencils a treat, and so I think we're going to set up a buddy color in here for November, but yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. I told her I would like to try some Sharpies because the nib is much harder. I'd like to try some watercolor medium in here. I didn't try Distress ink, so I might have to go that route. But yeah, I wasn't happy, and the only reason I finished it is because I started it. I did want to make her a little Halloweeny, so I just added that there. And then her skin tone was intentionally done in a very pale peachy color as well as gray because I wanted her to look dead. But yeah, this was a completed page. Added the Moonlit Veil by Steg Gerard. I did quite a few out of this. Dark Garden by Carla Magana. And so this is a butter color that I did with my girl Poet, and her pictures are a bit risque, but that doesn't bother me. I think the girls are beautiful, and I love that they're also big, chunky. This counts towards Poet's Comfy and Cozy because she definitely looks like she's cozy, and then she also looks like she's celebrating pumpkin spice, and so that goes for my hashtag Joanna Lynn celebration. I do want to name all these girls, so this girl's name is Pippa, and the quote I put for her is, "I got your pumpkin spice right here." And then the next page I did was this here. This was a buddy color, again a new one for me for October. I had a lot of buddy colors, guys. For Spicy and I, we need to figure out what books we have that are similar, and so we chose a prompt instead, and I love that. So the prompt was finding a skull out of Carla Magana, and so I chose this girl right here. Her name is Dominique, and her quote is, "Big hair, don't care." I love how vibrant and bright she is, but to me it's still a Halloweeny type picture because the predominant colors are orange, green, purple, and black. I don't know why, but that just makes me think of Halloween. And then the final page I did in here is this one right here. And this is also a new to me butter color. And that is with Chelsea of Chelsea Jade Murray. We do have another one set up for next month. And her name is Madison. And her quote is naughty or nice. Yes. And I think she is absolutely gorgeous. Honestly, if I had her figure, that's all I'd wear too. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. But I really love the Carla Magana books just because I feel that you're almost required to just go outside the box. Oh, I did add this element here and then the little squiggly lines just because I didn't want to do a full-on background, but I did want to kind of center her on the page. And so that is Carla Magana's Dark Garden. This is another one like the Zan Von Zed. As I do more, then I will feel like I can go ahead and pick up some of her other ones, but I do really enjoy these, and these are for me very quick colors. Okay, I did complete a few in here. I actually had a third one with my girl Poet, but I'm just not going to be able to get to it, but I did do two. Now this one, I'm not going to do quotes, but for any of the girl pictures, I am going to look up a Hawaiian name as well as the English translation, and then just kind of work with them that way. So she is Leilani, and Leilani means heavenly child in Hawaiian. She's done with Ohuhu's, Jelly Roll White pens, and our glitter gel pens. And this again goes for both Poet's tag Comfy Cozy as well as mine, Joanna Lynn's Celebration. Now I don't post a lot to Instagram, so I just, when I'm thinking of pictures, I kind of think about the story. And so she's definitely cozying up with her tiki drink, and anything that involves alcohol can be considered a celebration. Alcohol, tea, coffee, whipped cream. My interpretation of celebration is very loose. And then the other one I finished is this girl here. Her name is Hokulani, and that means heavenly star. I did add these elements in the back here because it was just her. I love the different colors that she has, and the orange and the green was kind of a mistake, but I just kind of rolled with it, and I think she's just so pretty. And then the other markers in here, one is with Chelsea, and then the other one is with Poet, and I will definitely get to those in November. But this is Hot Tropics by Carla Magana. I completed two pictures out of here. Little Fantasy by Josh Lee. One was for Olga Rani's challenge, and I think the challenge, was Raven or Crow. She said it could be either. And so I chose this picture here. I added that element back there again, that way that I could just focus on certain aspects of the background and not feel compelled to do the rest. I actually really like the look of it. It looks like a photograph that he's stepped out of. And so that was that one there. And then Sarah of Chronic Coloring and Sarah of Chronic Coloring Down Under and I set up a buddy color, and so we chose this one. And there's a lot of elements on the page. Again, I framed her out just so that I wouldn't have to do the whole thing, and then she's just, the background's done in alcohol marker. But I thought she came out really sweet too. And that is Josh Lee's Little Fantasy. Now, I don't know why they're not on the same shelf, but I did a picture out of this from Coloring Heaven's Annual 2021. Oh, this is one of the first ones I completed for the month. This one I did color with you guys in those two coloring tags. I think that's why it's on a different shelf. And so this one is by Simon Candini. It was the Find in Color for Octopus. That was the challenge of the week. She's done in Ohuhu, Tombos, dual metallic hybrid pens, and glossy accents for the eyes. And I love the palette on her. I love the dark gothy kind of colors. It definitely suits the tone of this for me. But yeah, that's the page I completed out of Coloring Heaven's Annual 2021. I did do a page in here. This one I actually did at work during my lunch break this past week. The prompt was for Olga Rani's Finding Color for Caterpillar. This is Adventure Coloring Books, Journey to the Secret Library. And I did this page right here, caterpillars right there. And this one actually was kind of a quick color. So this was done in Mandalama and Sharpie to sort of base out the page. And then I did some coloring with some Artezas and some Prismas because I actually have those at work. And then I didn't want to color the eye in, so I did frame it out in black. And then I just kind of did some dots with some different mild liners. I don't even know what those are. And I didn't write it down, which is strange because I usually do. But this was the picture I completed out of here, out of the Journey to the Secret Library. This is a new to me coloring book. It is Surreal Fantasy by Ikuko. I actually only did this cover page right here. I think it's really pretty. Deb and I think, yeah, we have two that we're going to be doing out of here for the month of November. I did do these in alcohol markers, and because it is single-sided, I'm probably going to do the entire book. I do tend to seem to like the strange and whimsical kind of portraits, and so I don't know who I had seen this flip on their channel, but I like the look of it, so I decided to get it, and it is Surreal Fantasy by Ikuko. This was a butter color that I had with Miss Emma of Emma Colors 2020. The crazy woman does all of her work in pencil, and so she wasn't able to finish hers, but she absolutely can get to it whenever she can. I mean, YouTube is not her full-time job. She actually has a full-time job. And so I finished this early in the month, and this is the page that we were going to do. Again, you'll see a lot of purples and greens and oranges. For her, it definitely makes sense because to me, this is definitely a Halloween page, but in some of the other ones that you've seen and will see, I chose those colors to make them Halloween-y, just because I don't want to be tied to having specific seasonal books, because I can color in anything in any color, and that's how I can get around it. But she was done in Sharpie Tombow alcohol markers, Ohuhu Art 101, Prismas, Amazon Basics, and Art glitter gel pens, and a Wink of Stella. And I just love how she came out. I think she's just so pretty to me. This is Jasmine Beckett Griffith's A Fantasy Art Adventure. All right, guys, we're actually, this is the second to the last book. So this is Dreamland by Renata Krauzik. And this was a butter color with Ashley's coloring journey. And again, I did want to do this in Halloween colors. The way that I envisioned this, originally I was going to do it as if it were blood, but I'm like, no, that's a little bit too much even for me. So this is more of the Ghostbuster ectoplasma, and then I really love how vibrant orange these cups are. And then I did the background in black and blue just so that these things would pop off the page, and I think it looks really pretty. You definitely should go check out Ashley as well. Check out her Instagram page, and you can find that through her YouTube channel. And again, anyone that I've mentioned in this video, I will either put their YouTube if they have a channel, or for Deb, I'll put her Instagram because she does not. But I really enjoyed this page here, and that is out of Dreamland by Renata Krauzik. And then the final page I did was out of Mythomorphia. I actually wanted to do more coloring on camera with you guys, just to show you some of the ways that I do things, but this was one of the 11th hour things. I think that's why I hurt my arm and my shoulder, because I did a lot and completed a lot this past week, just because I had so many butter colors. And then there was Sarah's challenge and Olga's, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed all of them, but I'm definitely going to scale it back for November just because my arm is killing me. But it's this guy right here. And I did write the song that this makes me think of. And you might be looking at this and you're like, oh, okay, Joanna. Okay, wait. I see a problem here. All right, so when I was doing this, I purposely left his arm looking like this, and I was thinking about The Mandalorian. Now, I kind of half watch things because I'm usually doing something while I'm watching things, and I think there was a scene in either season 1 or season 2. yeah, I think they're, yeah, season 1 or season 2, where he upgraded part of his armor because he had done something or something. And so that's how I'm seeing this guy, that I did not complete this page. It's just he has not earned all of his armor yet. So this is like the student grade armor, and this is the more elaborate armor. When I had originally done it, I didn't think I'd be doing much more shading than this. But then I did his little staff here, and that came out really good. But I could have had the rest of the page look like this because this isn't very vibrant. But then I did his face, and that is tons of layering. There's probably 6 to 8 layers on here. And I think this is what pretty much broke my arm, because all of this required so many layering. And just to step back, if you haven't seen those other videos, this is only done in 12 pencils. I was doing Ever's 12 pencil challenge. She's been doing that in her Kirby Rosanna's book, and I thought that was an interesting challenge. I still think it's an interesting challenge, but to get the colors that I wanted, it did take a lot more effort than I usually put into a page, just because of the pain that I get in my hands and my shoulder. But I think he was totally worth it. It definitely went in a different direction than I thought. I thought he definitely would be more lighter than he ended up turning to be. And the gold pencil in the Brut Funners, to me, came in clutch. I didn't use it as a marker, but it definitely was a way to add a little bit of shimmer, but also tone down, because these are all done in this light yellow. But when I added some orange, some purple, and that gold, it kind of gave that sort of burnished leather look, and I love it. And then all of these little things here I could not be bothered with, and so this is layers of blues and purples and oranges, just to kind of muddy the color down based on color theory and just bring it as dark as I could, because I could not introduce another color here. And then the quote says, you got what I need, but you say he's just a friend." And that's by Biz Markie. Anytime you see this page, you should think of that song, and if you haven't, you will now. And then I did do a little bit of journaling that he'll earn the rest of his armor when he proves himself in battle. And so, yeah, that is the final picture that I have done for this month. I don't count, so I don't know how many that I've actually completed. I just know it was a ton, just based on the various weekly, monthly watercolors and Coloropoly challenges that I like to do. All right, guys, I'd love to know what your favorite picture is. And as always, aloha.